welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for this special presentation of a bonus Bearcat Breakroom here with Levell Sanders, the Binghamton men's basketball head coach inside the 2025-26 season. Levell's been on the show for years, and of course in our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Binghamton University, he is here with us inside of our coverage of all Binghamton athletics. We are going into the 2025-26 season. It is right here, about to happen as we step in, and they'll be coming an hour north to Syracuse to face the Syracuse Orange in the Dome. First game for Syracuse, first game for Binghamton here in 2025-26. Lavelle, how we doing?
Good, Dan. Appreciate you having me on, like always.
Always, it is my pleasure. So, I mean, you and I were talking, a couple months ago when everything was getting set, and I came down to Binghamton and I did the ushering back in of welcoming the coaches, the students, the student athletes, the staff. That feels like yesterday to me, and here we are at the beginning of the season. So, you've had a couple months to get your practices in and get to see what this team looks like. What have you taken away from when you and I sat down in September to where we are right now?
Yeah, it feels like it was so long ago, and it hasn't been that long. But yeah, you get a chance to know so many different things. You try to, you're trying to figure out, you bring in 9 new guys, you're trying to figure out who's who and what guys can do. Obviously, you always have an idea of what guys are before they get here, but then once they get here and you kind of see them in your setting, you really get a feel for what guys can do. So, it's just really been just trying to learn a team, trying to figure out, how good we can be, trying to figure out rotations.
Yeah.
We know how we want to play. We know exactly what we want to do. So now it's just about us really going out and executing and, showing up and being the best that we can be on every given night that we're out there playing.
And when you talk about, trying to figure out those combinations and those matchups and whatnot, do you feel at this point that you have a lot of different options and different kind of things that you can show, right? I mean, like that you can go small or go big or have a combination of both. Do you feel like what you've essentially seen from having these 9 new guys come on and work with the guys that return, are there a bunch of different sets essentially that you can implement that you feel like you would be comfortable with as far as how you're going to mix guys in?
Yeah, we have a different, we have different lineups and stuff we can use.
Yeah.
I do feel like with this group is less is more, trying to, not overcomplicate things, and keep things real simple, but really trying to focus on execution. I think I was talking about it with Chris Evans. He stopped by practice, and we were just kind of talking about, it doesn't really matter what you play, offensively or defensively. It's just a matter of how well you execute it. And so, I think a lot of times as coaches, you're trying to figure out so many different ways to do things, and at the end of the day, it comes down to execution. So, we can play as many different lineups as we want. We can do whatever we want, but the two words we've been saying is just consistent execution. Just over a 40-minute period. I think the team. I always say this: the team that can play to their identity the most and be the most efficient with it is usually the teams that's going to be the most successful. And the teams that are really successful they do what they're really good at, and so that's what we got to do. We got to do what we're really good at. I think we all know that by now. There's always that period where, as players, guys want to come in and try this and try that. And, I think all of the trying is over. Again, we started the season is here. We know what we're good at. So let's just go out and be who we are and do that to the best of our abilities. And I think we'll be fine.
So when you look at this identity of this team, what are some things that come to mind when you think about what this team brings to it? Like you said, like knowing who you are and knowing what you can do. How would you describe this year's identity?
Yeah, I think we're athletic, and so we have to use our athleticism. We have to, get up and down the court. offensively and defensively, I think a lot of times when we're talking about being athletic and getting up and down the court, I think most of it is just, on the offensive end. But, we have to defensively really get back and keep teams out of transition. I think right now, and the way things are and the way teams play, like everybody wants to play fast, right? Like everybody is talking about playing fast and pushing the tempo and having more possession. So, you know, with that being said, you have to be really good in transition defense, which I think we've worked on a lot. So, being able to get up and down the court and use our athleticism is something that we want to do. I think our identity is going to be we're going to play inside out. So we have some big guys that I think we can throw the ball down into and have some success that way. So we want to do that. Like I said, play inside out. I think we're a team that we try to play to the basket. One thing that I like about the first couple scrimmage games we played is that we've shot in 69 free throws in 2 games. So we're really putting a lot of pressure on teams, and so we can't come out now and then just start jacking up threes, right? Like first game you come out, you shoot 33s. We can't do that. That's not who we are. Obviously we want to get some threes up, but we want to get to the rim. I think the most efficient shot after the free throw is the layup.
Yeah.
So we want to get as many layups as possible. Um, and so I think that's who we are. We are versatile. We can play a lot of different players at a lot of different lineups, or a lot of different positions, and we got a lot of different guys that can guard different positions, and so we want to use our versatility to affect the game and make our opponents uncomfortable. And so, playing hard is something that we always want to do, and that's something that we always talk about. None of this stuff works if you're not playing hard and giving extra efforts and those kind of things. And so, I think that's really who we are in a nutshell. A team that's going to play hard, give extra effort, use our size, athleticism, to get up and down the court and try to get to the rim, put pressure on the defense. I remember when Coach Hamilton took over Seton Hall. I think I said this to you before, but one thing that he said, if we wanted to win 5 more games, he said, "Listen, if we go out here and we turn the ball over less and we make a higher percentage from the free throw line, we'll win 5 more games." And so it's kind of what it is. I think we all think it's very complicated, but it's not. It's simple. The simple things are what win, and a lot of times the simple things are the things that people kind of look over and neglect, and that's what we try to be.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, when it comes down to, I mean, essentially you're talking about the fundamental things and the things that you can control. People worry about so many things that are out of their control, or like you said, going out and chucking up threes and whatnot. I mean, you're going to get to the free throw line if you go inside, right? You're going to have a better opportunity to at least get fouled and get to the charity stripe when you're attacking on the inside. Now, a lot of people are going to go after you when you're shooting threes and whatnot. So I think, like you said, I mean, playing to the heart of the game. And I don't feel like we hear about the fundamentals a lot anymore, right? It's about scoring a lot of points and being flashy and this and that, whatever. But, they said the San Antonio Spurs were boring, that them, getting it, consistently to the NBA Finals, man, they were such a boring team. And I said, if I'm playing in the NBA Finals year in and year out, I'll be boring every day. But, I was like, what are we saying when we're saying boring? Are we saying using the shot clock, taking the time down, getting a good shot, playing hard defense, being systematic, breaking you down, can win by scoring 70, can win by scoring 100? I mean, I think when it comes down to it, in today's basketball, if you play fundamentally and you utilize your interior, you can be a dangerous team, because I feel like, people have all these centers now that want to shoot threes and everybody wants to shoot threes and dribble the ball. But if you have good interior play, Levell, I mean, that's something we don't see a lot anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. You're closer to the basket, right? So
Yeah.
you would assume and you would hope and you would think that the closer you are to the basket, the higher percentage you're going to shoot, right? And so we had a couple big guys the last couple years. This past season, well, last year was Nehemiah Benson. Before that, Tariq Balogun, and those guys used to shoot 65, 62% from the field. I remember at one point they played together for a year. They were like 1 and 2 in the conference and field goal percentage. And I used to always kind of tell the guys like, yo, why are we trying to jack up threes when these guys are shooting 60 something percent from the field? Like, just throw them the ball inside and let them go to work.
Yeah.
They're gonna help us in turn, because teams are gonna be double teaming, and then you're gonna get wide open shots. So yeah, it just makes more sense that you're closer to the basket, and so those percentages should be a lot higher than if you're shooting 30 feet from the basket and taking step back and side steps and all those kind of things. And again, I think those sometimes those shots are necessary, but I also think that a lot of times people are not shooting high percentage of those shots. Now again, I'm not one of the guys that don't like the pull up jumper. I like that shot. I think that's a shot that you have to have in your arsenal. But again, like I said, to me, it's about getting to the rim and putting pressure on the defense.
Yeah, and I mean, I think, like you said, everybody wants to go fast. So you made me think of this too, is when we're talking about fundamentals and being systematic and trying to play closer to the basket than just simply chucking up threes. Do you envision your team as a team that might wear somebody down, utilize the shot clock, continue to pass the ball until a good shot comes, essentially trying to hold on to possession as long as you can? I mean, is that something? Because I've seen success with that. And to be honest, the team that you're playing, Syracuse, used to be like that. They used to wear the shot clock down and try and get, a good shot and at least take that time down and minimize the amount of time their opponent had. So can you see that being an inside out team, that you're not going to be so quick on the trigger, so to speak?
I wouldn't say that. It's not like we're trying to um, run the clock down, but it's interesting because I was talking to our point guard Jeremiah Quickly. We had a video session the other day, and we were talking about our game, and you know I was trying to explain to him like it's going to be very hard, if you're coming down and let's just say the first option of whatever the offense is, you're trying to score. I was just trying to explain to him like, and then he kind of said to me like, yeah, I didn't realize that until the second half of the game that instead of me trying to score off this initial ball screen, for example, let me get it to the other side, and then it's going to get back to me, and then I would be able to attack. And so I think offensively, I think the first 7 seconds of the shot clock is you have your highest percentage of scoring, and then I think the last 7 seconds of the shot clock you have your lowest percentage of scoring, right? So it's not like we want to work it down to the end, but we do want to we want to take good shots, and you know a lot of times those good shots are coming at certain times. I don't like the come down and no pass and just jacking up a three. Like, that's not my style of game. I don't like for us to play that way. But if we can come down and put pressure on the rim and get a kick out, yeah, that's fine. That's an open shot, right? I always tell our guys about a lot of them want to be professionals, and I say, listen, your job as a professional is to be efficient, and so we have to make open shots. It's something that it's a wide open shot. Are you guys in the gym all the time and putting the work in, and so you have to be able to step up and knock those shots down. So I don't want us to pass up shots either. If we have a good shot and you can make that shot, like, I want us taking it. But like some of the quick ones we've had some. Like, I mean, I don't think we've had as many as I'm watching some of these games on TV, and man, there's a lot of bad shots being taken. But again, I'm just looking at it from my perspective, and I don't know what the coaches might think is a good shot. So I'm just looking at from my perspective. I see a lot of quick shots. I see a lot of long distance threes. But again, we're not trying to purposely just milk the shot clock. We want to get the best shot. We want to get a high quality shot. And whenever that presents itself, we want to take it.
And you talked about, when you have those open shots, you got to knock them down. And you're asking those guys like, "Are you in the gym? Are you doing what you need to do?" I mean, this comes down to personal responsibility, right? You got them for practice, but that's a certain amount of time. They choose if they want to work out more. They choose if they want to run more. They choose if they want to go in the weight room. They choose if they want to watch more film than what's asked of them. They choose if they want to get together and just go and shoot and see what they could do. I mean, it's their choice to have the personal responsibility or not. So, from what you've seen from them in a couple scrimmages and from the practices you've had, have you seen this team really take on the personal responsibility and show you that they're going to the nth degree and they're putting the onus on themselves and not just showing up when they have to?
Yeah, I think that's one thing that coaches are we always talk about is that our best players are in the gym. Like guys are we have study hall at 7 a.m. Every day pretty much, and so before study hall, guys are in the gym. Coach Johnson and Coach Gill, they are getting to the gym. They're working out. They're running and getting their workouts on, and they're always seeing guys in the gym. Coach Tyler and Damani and Coach Josh. They're here early in the morning, and so they see guys in the gym. When we leave and go home, we see guys in the gym, and so I think that's one thing about these guys is, I think we have guys that want to play the game. I think we have guys that love the game, that like to. I don't think they look at it as work or punishment. Like they want to get in the gym because I think they want to be good. And so yeah, that person's responsibility, I definitely can see our guys taking that on and getting in the gym and doing what they got to do.
Here with Levell Sanders on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Binghamton University Bearcats, this Bearcat Breakroom, here with you as we head into the 2025-26 season for game day. I know that the season's never over for you as a head coach. You're recruiting, you're developing, you're challenging yourself, you're going and, obviously talking with the guys that you have, looking at the guys that you're bringing in, making sure that your assistants have everything that they need, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's no rest for the weary when it comes to being a head coach. But when you do get to this point, is there a level of excitement? Is there something inside you that gets up for this? Because I will say this about you. Your face doesn't really change during the game. You're always wearing good sneakers. but do you have that? I mean, because obviously you love the game, right? You love to coach or you wouldn't be doing it. So when you have a day like today, when you're ushering in a new chapter, a new season, do you have that childlike whimsy? Do you have that excitement, whether you show it or not?
Absolutely, absolutely. It's basketball. Is practice and stuff is great, and everybody loves practice. But like the games is what we all live for, right? Like to be able to go out and perform on game day, um, to see your team perform, to compete, play against other teams, compete against other coaches, other universities. We know that everybody's watching, especially opening. Like to open the season, that everybody is paying attention, right? And so I think playing Syracuse is I think it's kind of even more of a we haven't had this many kind of ticket requests and stuff like that in a long time. It's a lot of people that at least from my knowledge that I don't even know if they've ever come to see us play since I've been coaching here, and they will be at the game. So I think it always, especially like I said, especially opening night, it's always special. You wait so long, you have some disappointment or whatever it is that you finish your season with, and then you kind of wait, you know, months and months until you can get back out there and kind of do it again. And so, that's here now. It's very very exciting, and like I said, I think because we're playing against Syracuse, we're going right up the road. This is Syracuse country, no doubt about it. Me being going to Seton Hall, coming up here, and seeing how much, Syracuse is celebrated and rightfully so up here, was interesting. So yeah, so it's definitely fun. I definitely get excited for it. Like you said, even though I'm not, it's just not my nature to be jumping around, and I'm who I am. And so, but I am excited. I know our team is excited. I know the people in the area are excited, and so we're looking forward to opening up the season, up at the JMA Dome now.
Yeah, like you said, it's only an hour away, but there is a lot of excitement. There's a lot of history at the Dome. I mean, do you have a relationship with Adrian Autry? I mean, how did this come about? Is this a conversation between the two of you? How did we get Binghamton on the schedule here with Syracuse?
So we've been trying to play Syracuse for a while. I remember the first time I took over the position, we were trying to get them on the schedule, and just never worked out. Right. I think it's a game that um, a lot of people in our area wanted us to play, again, just because it's Syracuse. Right. I know Coach Johnson does our scheduling. He kind of reaches out and talks to everybody. But I know Joe Morabito also is, he's a Syracuse guy. They have, they have game, they have a box up there. They go to the football games, and whenever they play the Dukes, the World and the UNCs, they probably go check out the game. So, it was a game that he was always, hey, you guys got to play Syracuse. You guys got to play Syracuse. And so,
Yeah.
like I said, we finally were able to make it work. I didn't talk to Red at all. Adrian Autry, I didn't talk to him at all about the us playing them. Um, when I see him out, I definitely say what's up. I'm not calling him or texting him every day. Red is a little older than me, and I watched him play. When I was a little younger. And I thought he was a really really good player. I remember him coming overseas to recruit. I think it was Madak Dolajai, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Okay.
And he came over, and we met up over in Prague, stuff like that. So yeah, it's not like I said, not like we're calling each other every day, but definitely there's a relationship there. I respect him. Uh, like I said, I admired him as a player. I thought he was a really good player, big point guard. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that competition.
Yeah, I mean, and you come from the world of Seton Hall, and he comes from the world of Syracuse, and there's that old Big East, right? That we used to have. So, I mean, is that something that's kind of playful too? I mean, obviously, I know it doesn't go into this game, but to know that you a guard from Seton Hall, you got him a guard from Syracuse, and we get to have that little Big East backdrop. I mean, anytime I could talk about the old Big East, Levell, I'm going to talk about it. So I feel like
Right.
that's something to say.
Yeah, you know what? I think I don't really think about it in that way. I do think about it because I talk about it a lot. But the last time I played there, my senior year at Seton Hall, we won, and I think it was like the first time we had won there in like 17 games. So I do have great memory of the last time being there and playing there and having success as a player. Um, and I never played against, like I said, I never played against Adrian, but I think that game, I want to say, um, Alan Griffin was a freshman, I want to say, and I was a senior. And so, and Al is from Brooklyn, so I know Al from Brooklyn. I had a call earlier from one of my good friends, and I didn't answer it because I was on the phone. But I think he was calling me because of the game, and he also knew Al also. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of history there just because we're New York City guys. But yeah, I mean, you could look at it from that perspective, but I mean, I'm at Binghamton now. I'm definitely always representing Seton Hall because that's my alma mater. But yeah, it's Binghamton, Syracuse.
Yeah, I love looking back at these moments, little throwback moments of the backdrop and whatnot. Before I let you go, Lavelle, I mean, you and I have talked about Binghamton and what you've been trying to do last season, putting together some history there and the amount of wins within a season. This Binghamton team, well before you got here, was struggling. Went through a lot of tough times, and you've had some time here to develop and build. You're doing it at a time where, your roster can change year to year because of this NIL and transfer portal, and you're dealing with that now. But from what you've been working to build and what you achieved last year, where do you feel like this Binghamton Bearcats team is as they head into 2025-26? Because you have a vision, you have a mission. Where is that at this point?
Yeah, we want to be better. We want to be better. We want to put ourselves in position where we can, win a championship. We want to put ourselves in position where we can continuously be one of the top teams in the league. We talk about all the time being able to host playoff games, at the event center, a place that the last time 2009 when they did have, you know, the playoffs there, the tournament, it ended in victory. So we want to have Binghamton and put Binghamton on the radar of consistently being, one of the top teams in the conference, no doubt about it. And I think we're taking steps to go in the right direction. We're obviously, you know, winning 15 games. Obviously we want to win more than 15 games. We've done that the last 2 years, and I think the first couple of years we were, slowly taking steps, getting, increasing our win total. And last year we didn't do it because we had 15. So yeah, we wanna keep getting better. I don't think anybody wants to stay the same. We don't. We're hungry for success, and I think we try to get guys in our program that want the same thing. Right. A lot of times we bring in student athletes that might not have had the success that they want to have, and they're looking to put themselves, in another light, and then they want to be known as winners, and that's what we want to recruit, and that's what we want to do, right? And we talk to everybody that we recruit. We talk to them about that, and so this is Team 80, right? This is the 80th team in the history, and so we want to leave. We always ask the guys, what's the legacy you guys want Team 80 to have? And so that's what we're doing. We're starting on a journey where we want to, we're writing a legacy for Team 80, and we'll see where that end up at the end of the season.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, Team 80, which is pretty special, right? To have the 80th men's basketball team at Binghamton University. And like you talked about before, in kind of a final note, having 9 new faces and bringing in, these guys and assembling the group that you have. And even some of the guys that were on the team last year came from other places before that. So within the last couple of years, essentially, molding this team from guys that maybe coming out of high school to guys that are coming through the transfer portal. What do you think the Bearcat fans, are going to see on the floor? I know you talked about playing inside out and whatnot, but when you look at your personnel and the talent of these players, just what you can say about how you put this team together and what it looks like to you as you get excited to kick off this season and tip off the season, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, well, first and foremost, it's the assistant coaches. Those are the guys that go out and kind of pound the pavement and on the computers and stuff all night, and connecting with whoever they have to connect to get the student athletes that can help us push the program forward. And so it's never me. A lot of times I might be the face, but a lot of our guys, all of our coaches have tremendous input, and so it's them first and foremost. And so whenever I talk about like the program, I'm always talking about we and us, because that's what it's about. But I mean, we have some talented guys. I think we have some players that I think the fans are going to enjoy to watch. Some exciting players. We have some guys that can play above the rim. We have some fast, speedy guys. Yeah, we have some talent, and so I'm looking forward to everybody getting an opportunity to see it. you know, it's the season is right here, so
Yeah.
we don't have to wait any further. But yeah, we're excited. I think it's been a long process. It's been guys getting on campus in July and coming all the way through. And now beginning of November. Can't believe it's almost the end of the year. 2026 is about to be here.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're excited, man, and I'm looking forward to all of our fans getting an opportunity to see these guys, play on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and Stefan and Wes and Jackson, I mean, guys like that coming back. What does that mean to you? What does that mean to the leadership of this team?
Yeah, once the season was over and we figured out who was leaving, who was staying, I kind of got all the returners and kind of talked to them individually and was just telling them like, listen, this team is gonna go how you guys go, and you guys have to set the tone for what is and what's not going to happen. And so I think Wes in particular, I think Wes has done a really good job with he's a lot more vocal this year. Jackson has always been a vocal um, guy since he's been here. I think Steph has taken some steps. Not only in being vocal, but like his game and his play. I think he's gotten better. Jaden Lamont, unfortunately he's injured right now, but he's another guy that I thought was having a great fall. He had a great summer, and so I think all of our guys, or the guys that we have coming back, had really good summers and expecting some good things. I think our guys usually, when you stay in our program more than a year, I think those guys usually tend to get better. And so, Evan Ash, got another guy who's injured, unfortunately, but all those guys in our program that usually stay more than a year tend to become better all around, not just on the basketball court, but off the basketball court also.
Have you decided what sneakers you're wearing and will they change from game to game?
You know what? I didn't. I didn't even. Like I said, I went. I went to get some stuff, and I haven't really sat down and looked at it yet. My wife is not here to say yay or nay, and so uh, yeah. So I don't know. I'll put something together. But yeah, I got a few pair of sneakers that I have for the season. I didn't get anything new. I didn't see anything that I liked that I thought would um, go well with the stuff that I have. So it'll be my usual, but I think that's enough.
Are you superstitious? Are you a little stitious? Do you have to have green? No, you don't care.
Nah, I mean, the only thing that I have, and I've done this since high school, is um, my left sock I wear inside out. My right sock I wear on the right side. So that's the only thing that I do. I've done that since high school. I do that with every sock that I put on. Sometimes, I remember when I first met my wife and, she, washing clothes and stuff. And she was like, she was turning my sock on the right side. And I was like, listen, you know what? I usually wash all my stuff at the beginning, right? I usually, because I didn't want to have to keep, doing that. I had to keep explaining it to her. But now, obviously, she has it down pat. But like I said, she's not here anyway, so I'm washing my own stuff anyway.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, Levell Sanders, he said, excited about people getting to see the team, and you will get to see them inside of a fantastic arena. They will be at the Dome right here today, and it'll be happening tonight's first game for Binghamton, first game for Syracuse men's basketball, 2025-26 season. 1 hour separates them, but with all the construction, it's probably 3. So make sure you leave early, stay safe, and stay well. And
That
Lavelle,
hasn't that hasn't
yeah,
that hasn't finished yet, huh?
hey, Lavelle, we could spend an hour and a half about my thoughts. So all I'm going to say is the people that are claiming to oversee New York State do better. So get up here, get safe, and we'll see that Bearcat bus pull in. Levell Sanders and the crew for the Bearcats going to be at the Dome, and we look forward to seeing you all there safe and sound. This has been another Bearcat Break Room. I will see you at the game, and of course I'll be talking with you after, but thank you as always for giving me some time.
For sure.